Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for September 27th through October 1st, 2021. Wow, can you feel the palpable shift of energy? Today, Mercury has stationed retrograde. This is really interesting energy. We've been talking about it for weeks, and now the Mercury retrograde is actually happening. But this feeling of we can tell there's this massive push for change, this massive light awakening coming in, and yet this feeling of we're never getting anywhere, right? And this Mercury retrograde is kind of a feeling like being suspended in time, like our whole reality grinding to a halt. And maybe we can see it like, yes, it has to grind to a halt because we're switching, we're flipping, we're turning that corner into a new age. And we can't build the new on the crappy old bullshit lies and deceit foundation, right? So it's like a really interesting time where it feels like all of the wind has been taken from our sails. This is because Mercury is in halfway now through this very powerful square with Pluto. Pluto in Capricorn, coming up against the structures of authority, the man, the laws and the rules that basically it's like those structures that have so Pluto rules power and our fear of our own power. And maybe that's the key to this. The structures that are holding back our power, like that whole mechanism, this whole story cannot stand if we no longer fear our own power and potency, I mean, sometimes, and this is where humanity's been, and maybe we're reliving this feeling right now. It's like a bloom of it, of this feeling of like, it's just me against this big system. And what can I do? I'm just this small, ineffectual thing. And it's like the whole energy of everything right now is pointing us to the fact I guess it just quintessentially comes down to this one thing. As long as we are scared, first of all, not realizing we have direct access to source energy within us. This is a natural law of the universe. This is the truth. But then the fear of that power, and these are the only things that are keeping this bullshit reality intact of the lower matrix. So maybe as this Mercury retrograde feels like the time is slowing down, stopping, suspended, and that's our opportunity to jump ship out of the lower matrix vibrations. The astrology is speaking to us so strong. This Mercury square Pluto is just like Mercury in Libra wants to have harmony and peace and love and go back to the garden and that perfect balance, and Pluto in Capricorn is just like, oh, no, you don't, and, but Mercury, so this is the flavor of this Mercury retrograde, right? Mercury square Pluto. And we're going to feel this Mercury square Pluto through the 5th of October, that first week of October. And so it's because Mercury comes into that square with Pluto at 24 degrees, begins its retrograde, and then comes back into a square right away. So that's why this Mercury square Pluto is lasting so long. But just know that Mercury turning retrograde today, and this halfway through this Mercury square Pluto, it's just this feeling of like we're never going to get anywhere. We can never win. That's how they want you to feel, right? But the truth, if you stop and you listen, if you take back your attention in the moment, understand like the world is going crazy right now, and it's only going to get worse before it gets better because we have not yet faced the truth. Ignorance is still blissful, right? And then those of us who are paying attention, it's like excruciatingly painful, Now we have to understand that the reason that whole energy of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is going on in the world. Nobody even sees it or cares or, but that is evidence in itself of the massive energetic changes that are happening. So the darkest dark and the lightest light. Okay. And as an advanced soul, as a chosen one, it's been really hard for you. And all of these energies want to make sure that you, in the power as a creator, being aware of itself as creation energy, make sure you stay down in that black pill, down in the dumps, down in the impossibility, down in the failure, right? It's all a distraction to keep us from the light that is coming in. So when you find yourself there in this place of like, oh my God, I just want to put my head in the sand, right? Remind yourself that the darkest dark is only because of the lightest light. And then put your attention there, right? Put your attention there. Just bring it back. Now, this is helpful because we've got that intense square of going up against all of these bullshit structures, the matrix reality, right? But then we've got Mercury in trine to Jupiter, which is about possibilities. Jupiter in Aquarius, trying to expand into the Aquarian age. And so this is a really sweet energy, an air trine energy, lifting up, saying, hey, so it's like the astrology is showing us the two timelines that are, we're kind of synthesizing down to two timelines, right? And this is where that ignorance can no longer be blissful. The longer you don't face the truth, the harder it is to face the truth, the bigger the ego death, right? And in a way, those who are awake and aware right now, on some level, of course, we know that we're all going to get our minds blown when the full truth comes out. But you're going through an ego death right now, because you have to accept the fact that you can't just talk logically and with love and care, to wake people up. It's like you're going up against the matrix. And the more ignorance, the more bliss and they're just not going to have it. This is our time to say, oh, that's another timeline. That's another dimensional frequency. I'm not going to beat my head against the wall anymore. Everything wants me back there in those problems that I can't solve on that level. And everything is a distraction to keep us from the awareness and the presence. All we have to do is put our attention on the ascension and the light coming in, the Christ consciousness returning. Because so that beautiful trine with Mercury and Jupiter, Mercury in Libra, Jupiter, retrograde. But so it's saying Mercury going up against the man, Mercury fighting for justice and peace. And then, but trying Jupiter saying justice, truth, this is how we expand into the new age, building a better foundation. And maybe we are at that point where this Mercury retrograde is kind of saying, we're as far as we can go without a demolition of that faulty, rotten foundation, right? Which would mean exposing the rot. And so this brings us to this incredibly powerful trine that's happening right now. We've had Black Moon Lilith an exact trine to Saturn as of the 20th of September, all the way to the end of the month. And today and tomorrow, we've got, for these last couple of days, we've got Mars in this trine at 7 degrees. So 7 is a number of Christ consciousness. It's God's perfect number. And so 777, it's like a spell in the sky saying, hey, this is what's going on, right? And it's interesting, it's in a trine because it's about harmony, right? And it's kind of like this Mercury retrograde is like the final preparation to giving yourself full permission to establish in the higher frequency vibrations. Mercury square Pluto, everything that's in the way of that in your face. But to know it's this final preparation time can be really, really helpful. And that means endgame, which means the light's only getting stronger, because that's what this is all about. But Black Moon Lilith, trine Mars in Libra, trine Saturn in Aquarius, is saying we got to have the truths come out. We've got to have that darkest dark exposed. Actually, there's nothing we have to do about it. It is happening on its own because the light is so strong and coming in. So once again, bring our attention back there. Bask in the glory of the light that's returning. And now this air trine is so powerful because it's speaking to the new renaissance, right? And it's like lifting up into a new vibrational frequency. But then we can't do that with all of our attachments. So everywhere that you find yourself in the black pill energy, that is showing you attachments, contractual arrangements, belief systems, programming that says you should be there. So much of this is about us deserving, feeling that we deserve heaven on earth. And that's where we get with this powerful energy. Black Moon Lilith in Gemini, the expression of the deepest, darkest truths, to clear that program shame and to step into this. What if the only thing right now that's keeping you from establishing in this completely different energy of heaven on earth is this feeling of whether or not you deserve, whether or not you can give yourself permission, And it's like, whoa. Now coming back to this, you as this certain soul that's aware on some level, the chosen ones, and you've been targeted. But the targeting has been all about keeping you in that lower frequency vibration. And now is the time. So Mercury retrograde lasts 3 weeks. The whole picture from going into shadow, coming out of shadow, about 6 weeks. And so we've got this journey, and it feels like I said, time is grinding to a halt. I'm never getting anywhere. What is the freaking point? But it's actually evidence that the ascension, the light coming in, is happening faster than you can even imagine. And so can you use this Mercury retrograde as that final preparation to give yourself that full permission? That means all the contracts coming up, everything that's in the way of you claiming your heaven. That's what you're here for, and you can't really leave anybody behind, because we're coming to the hard and fast fact that this is a free will universe, which is why this time of revelation, the evidence must be presented. So if that's helpful too, to kind of keep that, this is the evidence being presented, because it's like that rot down in the foundation of that old building. You could build on top of it and never know. And 10 years later, you got a total catastrophe disaster, right? The rot must be exposed. There's no way around it. But it's the light that brings the exposure. It's the Renaissance energies. It's the new energies that bring the truth. So if you want this shit show to end, put your attention on the light. Now this is really powerful because we're starting to feel Mars coming into, so Mars is in that powerful trine. It's like turning the wheel of, it's weird because we've got Mercury retrograde feeling like everything's stopping, but this trine is saying we're turning the wheel. Christ consciousness is descending on earth. Are you ready? Do you have your birth kit? Do you have your shit in a row? Did you get sorted out? Did you, and so all of the most powerful distractions that have been in your life will probably bloom, so that you have that opportunity again and again in each moment of every day of saying, oh yeah, I am. I got the power. And the power is your attention. And so your attention on the truth of the light coming in, it's all that is being asked of you right now. It's going to make everything better. And you feeling better is going to support the whole plan. Can you handle that? You thought you being persecuted was how you were playing your part in the plan. That was a lie. It all played out. And you know what? The glory of the light is so beautiful and so powerful, and it's all worth it. Everything you've gone through pales in comparison. And I know you've gone through it. I want to make light of that. It's been a treacherous journey through the darkest dark if you incarnated into the Piscean age as one of the called. And like, go ahead and validate that for yourself too, right? But that all of it has to do with, again, the quintessential essence of it is because the Piscean age was attack on the light and you were the light. So go ahead and be the light. Get out of the attack, right? So this is what's resolving in this Mercury retrograde, and it's so incredibly powerful. Now Mars in that beautiful trine, just like, it's like I see this energy just descending on earth, this like bright light of truth. But then Mars is coming into an opposition with Chiron. Mars, the ruler of Aries, in Libra, across the way, trying to figure out how to be the peaceful warrior, trying to figure out how to win without fighting, in that art of war. But opposite of Chiron, the wounds of where we've given our power away, exactly what we're talking about here. And then Mars, the warrior. So there's deep repressed anger and frustration. Now, there is a place of claiming your autonomy and freedom. This righteous anger, it's a necessary step and stage. So can you let that energy as it comes up, bringing the empowerment that it all proves you're of the light. It all proves you were chosen and called. It all proves that now you get to just roll right over into heaven. And that's your job. No more souls to be saved. You save the most souls by giving yourself permission to fully establish in this other vibrational frequency. This is the time we're in. It's like, this is why the ignorance isn't blissful for very much longer, because it's like, we're bifurcating into these two things. And it's like, there's this whole narrative out there. It's like, oh, well, anything out there is like, it's within, and it's true. Our psyche is a microcosm of the macrocosm, right? But we have to come to reality that there's a denial in that. We are in a fight for good and good and evil. This is what's playing out right now. So you may be making excuses for the darkest evil. It's almost like by saying, oh, well, I don't really have an enemy. You can't have an enemy because it's all within. Consciousness is all within. And that's true, right? But that is also blissful ignorance because we're in a fight for the whole energy of this time is an absolute revelation of the light and the dark. And by thinking that you're being, this is the whole mystery of Libra, really. It's like thinking that you're being, accommodating and understanding and compassionate, and you're really making a home for that shit to exist in your world. This is where we stand up and we say, no, that's not of me, not in my world, not in my house. Now we turn the tables, because the blissful ignorance is leading you to a place where you're doing splits. Because in general, humanity is good, right? But they're programmed to stay in denial. And so the longer you're in denial and going away from your truth, you're going away from your essence, you're going away from your life force, and it's harder and harder to face the truth because you got to go like, oh my God, I was wrong. And we're all going to be doing this because we're all going to be getting our minds blown. But it's like time for the righteous energy to stand and be heard and be clear. You can't be a little of this and a little of that because you're playing host to the dark forces. You're now supporting pedophilia and satanic ritual abuse, right? And so the longer you deny the truth, the harder it is to face the truth. We've all gone through this where we really wanted to continue to apologize for that abusive situation and that person that was completely degrading us in our life and truth, our being, Be like, it's okay, they're hurt. I want to help heal them. They have a hole inside, and then you're full. Then you're in the hole with them, right? And it's like, no more. If you give them an inch, you've given everything, It cannot stand in our world. And so it's this anger that's coming up, this suppressed anger. It's empowerment energy, and it can be used. We can take that energy and say, my world now, my mind now, my thoughts now, my direct connection to source now. And immediately you've killed the matrix within you. And so, wow, it's so powerful, these energies. So let's just stick with it. There's just so much going on, but know that it feels like we're stuck in a halt, because we kind of are. We got to, we're at the hump. We can't get over the hump. And I don't think, we're going to have little bits of truth come up, but it's like not clearly, we would have had way more truth disclosure if that was the plan. Clearly now the plan is for so part of the art of war, the biggest concept in the art of war, which is so much what's coming up right now with Mars and Mercury in Libra, and now the sun in Libra. And it's like this energy of appear weak when you're strong, appear strong when you're weak, right? And so there's an energy of like all those big disclosures of truth that we want to see happen aren't happening. That means it's all going to come at one time. That means like there's this kind of, these two timelines, and you're either like exploring and open, or you're completely programmed by the tell lies vision, So anyway, this Mars opposite Chiron is going to peak out on the 1st this weekend, and it's an energy of righteous anger that can bring us back to claiming our power. How do we claim our power? Well, our power is definitely, now we're showing, the medical tyranny is showing us that our immune system, that's it. That's the power. Our mind, our own thoughts, our own vibration, that's the power. And so it takes that place of being, of like, it's denial, and then it's the anger, and then the grief, right? And so it's all kind of part of it. And really powerful though, because Chiron in Aries is Chiron is our deepest wounds, Aries life force and essence. It's a spark of creation, And it's a hard truth to face that, like, oh, the only thing that's fueled the matrix, because that artificial intelligence, hybrid, weird insectoid creatures, they don't have their own connection to source. And it's that same parasitic reality where it's like they need what you have, telling you need what they have. And we literally can be in the presence of, we step out of that whole game when we validate that light within, So Mercury and Mars and Libra are telling us, yes, this is the fight without the fight. This is the transcendent energy. This is really powerful, because what's going to happen in October, this is going to peak out from like the 7th to the 11th of October, but Mercury in its retrograde is going to come back and meet up with Mars and the sun. Mars, Sun, Mercury, all together in Libra, right? It's a meeting of the minds and a council. Our personal planets, and it's that art of war, right? It's like, okay, time to mastermind our way out of this shit. And so that happens right about the middle of Libra, from 14 to 16 degrees, and pretty powerful, right? It's almost like the middle way. And so this, everything is speaking to this energy of how to mastermind our way out of this, the art of war, how to fight without fighting. And it's all about just claiming and bringing our attention back to the higher frequency vibration of the light coming in. The more you do this, just take a minute. Maybe it's not true for you right now, but the words resonate on some level, right? This is all about the free will is about making the discoveries of truth real in our own being. It's not anybody telling us anything. We're coming back into our intuitive awareness and trust in our intuition. And but know that this art of war, the fight without fighting, the transcending, and that perfect balance, bringing back the masculine and feminine, our right and left brain, communicating with each other again, in that intuitive thinking. But it's all opposite of that Chiron in Aries, which is this wounds over where we give our power away. And so we can, just like I said, it just seems like the mantra is to bring your attention back to the light that's coming in. When you spend just a few minutes there, and this is the evidence that's coming forward as well, right? So you can't have the evidence of the dark being, this was my read on this Mercury retrograde. It was like a bubbling up of truth, just kind of bubbling up, and then more massive, full-blown exposure later in the year. But, you cannot have the darkest dark without the lightest light. So when you feel that energy of like, oh my God, this world's going to shit, it's getting darker and darker, it's getting hopeless and hopeless. It's like, oh, no. Oh, that's because of this. And when you can spend just a little bit of time there in this revelation of you as the light, as a direct source, in your own personal sovereignty, in your this revelation of Christ consciousness within you, just keep bringing your attention back there. Know there's ups and downs right now, but the more we can just bring our attention, whatever makes you feel, there's such an aliveness on this other level, right? And everything's trying to distract you from that. So it's like, oh, this is trying to distract me from that. I'm going to go be in nature. I'm going to go talk to the birds. I'm going to listen to the trees. I'm going to talk to the animals. I'm going to, and whatever helps you be in that revelation of the light and the truth, that's how we build this new world, is just giving ourselves permission to put our attention on that reality. And it's getting easier and easier, getting darker and darker too. But just saying, oh yeah, that's actually because of this. And I'm there. I'm here. We did it. Right? This is an incredibly crucial time of preparation. This is the wilderness. And it's time for you to put 2 feet in. To be that fool, to take that leap of faith. We've had a couple of years of total confusion of like where our life is going and what are we doing. It's because we're like waiting on something, but we're at that tipping point where you can start to get indications and start making moves towards that new future that's beyond what you can imagine, but still you can prepare, right? Because a baby's coming and you got to get your birth kit all together. And so it's kind of like, is it ever going to happen? Is it ever going to happen? Is everything ever going to change? It's like, oh, it's coming down like a hammer. And are you ready? Right? So this is a gift. This Mercury retrograde is a gift. It's a rest. It's a breather. It's a time for you to establish in that frequency vibration. We've got incredible tension and all the bullshit coming in our face that doesn't want us to go establish in those higher frequency vibrations. And then we've also got this beautiful air trine, this spaceship, this light ship lifting us up into the heaven on earth vibration. And then together we're going to descend that down through practical, real life humanitarian projects and cool things, the solutions. We get to finally do it right. So put your energy there. Put your energy on that preparation. There's definitely insights and downloads coming if you can allow that space in your life right now. So really, really powerful. And also next week, or in the first week on the 7th of October, Venus will be moving over into Sagittarius, coming into a conjunction with the South Node. That's going to be really, really crucial. And that's happening the same time that Mercury, Mars, and the Sun are together in Libra, Venus on the South Node. So this is saying the old stories of the feminine that are keeping her in chains, an activation of the destiny of the goddess principle of the divine feminine, the divine mother energy. That is, it's like we're releasing the dragon, mother dragon, from her chains to activate back into the kundalini and the power of what it really means to be human. And so then we've got that council of the sun, who we think we are, trying to come into perfect balance. Mercury, the mind, coming into perfect balance. And Mars, the warrior, fighting without fighting, the art of war, and letting your enemies destroy themselves by working with the energies in the presence and the awareness, right? So don't let the energies distract you. Keep your eye on the prize. And very powerful that Mercury is catching, doing this conjunction with the Sun and Mars as it's retrograde. That means it's going to catch back up. Now that's going to be very powerful when Mercury catches back up to the Sun. That's going to be at the end of November, the 29th, 30th. And then Mercury catches back up with Mars around the 9th through 11th of November. So 11/11. And so the saga continues, and it's very active, very activating. And yet the juxtaposition of feeling like reality is grinding to a halt. And what do you even do with yourself? Time's going really fast. And yet there's this lack of direction and focus. This is partly because the North Node has made it to 3 degrees now, and the South Node 3 degrees coming to the very end. So there's a bloom of the energies of the nodes and mutable signs. The nodes of the moon are trying to give us direction, but mutable signs are about adjusting, right? And that goes through the end of the year in this eclipse season, very powerful coming up. And so just so much is happening, and don't miss a minute, and let yourself use this time to establish and put your money where your mouth is, start living and breathing the truth instead of just talking about it. I'm seeing a powerful energy in this shift that we've all been trying to find our people and come back together. But we can't really do that until we establish and say yes to these vibrational frequency changes. Now, the main energy of the cheerleading energy coming through right now is that remember that all of the contrived reality and the black pill and the distractions, that's all mechanical and created, and it needs resources. The light coming in is natural, organic, and ever increasing, and nothing can stop it. So put your attention and energy there. We're going to be having information and insight coming in really powerful about how to overcome on a physical level the mind control type energies. It's like we've got to code our way out of the code. And it's interesting. It makes me think of a lot of people. Okay, so this is an example of one of those difficult truths for some who have just really invested their life and energy in alignment with the Bible. And then finding out that there's 700 books of the Bible, and all of this that was hidden and kept from us. Right. And then it's just like to face that truth is really hard because you've been really invested in that. And then it feels like, oh, the Bible must be lies. It's been distorted. It's been cut apart. But it's like that. This is kind of like a quintessential metaphor for the time that we're in, because what made it through the Bible that we have today has incredibly power. It has the quintessential truths of the teachings of Jesus. But what stayed in the Bible, the truths, like they made it past the controllers. So because they were in metaphor, they were coded, right? So the Bible that's made it is actually more true than all the other books but it's written in code. So we're learning how to decode our lives. And it's that thing of like, oh no, it's corrupted and now I have to throw it all away, right? And it's like, no. The quintessential truths are there, right? And almost like that decoding of our life and decoding of the mysteries, decoding of the Christ consciousness is decoding our role here. And giving it can give us massive validation of who we are and what in the heck we're doing here and why it's been so hard. And that's the other thing that's going on right now. It's like that feeling of never getting anywhere, coming up against the man. It's like, that's because you're called and you were targeted. It's because you are of the light. You were of the light before. You came in that total devotion and dedication. Nobody can take that from you. They can kill you lifetime after lifetime, but your soul light only gets stronger. That's why you're still here. So are you ready to celebrate that, to claim that, to live in that, you know? And so be open to the coding, the decoding that wants to come in, because it can show you these kind of confirmation, affirmation, and validation you've never been able to get from this world, and perhaps give you some direction. Now, this Mercury retrograde is in Libra. Libra is a cardinal sign. So it's trying to start something new, even though we're in a big pause, because it's like the big pause before the big lie is exposed. And so we all are being asked to live in the truth. And the beautiful thing is it feels way better and it's supported and your people are there. Welcome back to heaven. Bask in the glory of the light that is returning, because that's why all of this is happening. That's the greatest story ever told. So hang tight, be there, be present, keep breathing, keep loving, keep giving yourself permission for that heaven on earth. That's why you're here. And thank God you've made it through all you made it through. And all will be redeemed. It's a great redemption. So hang in there, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Have a wonderful week, and Mercury retrograde season, and we'll talk to you soon. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.